Hey everybody, it's been a few weeks, but we're back with more Shield Hero Weekly featuring Best Guy Ever.
Welcome back, everybody. Hope you've been doing well. Sorry to keep you waiting, but here we are.
You know what happens? You get busy, I go on vacation. Shield Hero is not the top priority for either of us. It's funny because it's funny that the videos, from my perspective, it's like they don't get that many views because they don't get as many as my other videos. Sure. But it's still a lot. And there's still a lot of people who are constantly messaging me like, is Shield Hero canceled? What's going on with Shield Hero?
It's glad to see there's interest, I guess. And my incel juices are all fully charged, so I'm ready to dive back in. Although, I mean, I'm just going to say it, incel, less relevant than ever. Actually, you know what? Not entirely true. In the first episode, there's stuff. There's things that happen. All right, but anyway, you were saying something. Why don't you take it away?
We got 3 whole episodes to go through.
Yeah, that's right.
Of a variety of kind of styles and what happens in them. Episode 8 is basically an episodic adventure that is entirely fixated around this trick of making you think that Philo has been eaten by a dragon.
Yeah.
So what did you think about this episode?
Okay, well, I guess I don't want to, I'll just start with my general thoughts. Okay, I'm happy to tell people I'm getting pretty fucking bored. I'm getting bored. I'm officially transitioning into boredom. And it's mostly because we've reached the state where we're past, what's that thing where you got a bell curve that starts, diminishing returns. We've reached, for me, diminishing returns with this anime, because I am enjoying it, but when I think about, I just used 22 minutes, I could have read the manga in, 5 minutes. It really, my manga instincts are off the charts, in some of these episodes. And considering I have read them and it's more expressive, all that stuff, I'm feeling myself in that place.
It can be a painful and jarring feeling when you get it in your bones that like I'm just consuming the worst version, and I wouldn't if it wasn't airing right now. Like ordinarily, you and I both are people who've been watching anime for a long time. We've come into a lot of series hearing from the outset, like, whether the manga or anime is better. We sample a couple episodes of the anime, and if we think the manga is better, we don't ever watch it. It doesn't matter how much I might like the manga. With One Piece, for example. Like, you're not going to watch the entire fucking anime. I'm sure you've seen a lot of it. But you're never going to go back and watch the rest of it because you just kind of resolved, you know what? The manga's just better. This is a waste of time.
Childhood is watching the anime of One Piece. Adulthood is waking up that the manga's superior in every way. Almost every way.
So, like, with a show like this, it's not as long. It's not as big of a deal. It's currently airing. We're doing a podcast about it. It's not hard to justify continuing to watch it because it's not terrible.
It's true.
But you do always have that feeling of, like, man, I could tell this isn't the best version of the story.
That's the thing.
This story wouldn't have gotten an anime adaptation if it was this mediocre.
Frankly, that's true. At this point, like, I know people have heard us say that before, and I get it. And frankly, I don't even really want to diminish anyone's, like, enjoyment of it with my nitpicks. It's just that this is such a... It's on my mind every second I'm watching now. And, I'm still able to enjoy it, so I'm not going to harp on it, but I want to lead with that, just so people, So you can turn around anytime and just go to the manga. I'm telling you right now, it's better. I have given up hope. I have officially given up hope that this will surpass the manga.
While I do not want to harp on it too much, and over the course of talking about all 3 of these episodes, I'll say some positive things. The one with the dragon, I thought was just badly executed.
That was the thing, because when we stopped last time, I was thinking, okay, and I said this, next episode is the one where he activates the curse shield for the first time. This is a huge emotional moment in the series. Sure, it's recycling, like the trauma of the character that we've been introduced to up to this point, but now it's taking on a physical ramification, and it's actually burning Raftalia. Like, his inner toxicity is surging up to hurt the people he actually cares about in his direct life. That's like a cool metaphor that applies to people in the real world, and we can learn from that. It's just, God, it was ugly, and it was like the emotions didn't even feel that heightened.
Dude, okay, so I came into this spoiled, I guess, and I can't say for sure if this is really what the spoiler was, because I haven't read any farther than this, but, like, there were people signaling to me that Firo was going to die in the comments. That, like, people kept saying, like, things like, oh, you didn't get attached to Firo? Like, or it doesn't sound like you're getting attached to Firo enough. Like, that's unfortunate. And I'm just like, guys, it's obvious. Like, fucking there's no other reason you'd be suggesting this. Other than that, you are warning me that she's going to die, right? So I've already got it in my head that Firo's going to probably die soon.
I mean, frankly, she quote-unquote died so unceremoniously that there's just no way that's going to take.
Well, so. that was how it felt, because I'd heard that she was supposed to die, so it happens on screen, and my first reaction is, oh, like, that's it?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Which,
gone?
To me, my genre savviness alarm goes off.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Right, like, it felt weird because Firo hasn't, even though she's been, established as a character, no, I didn't get that attached to her yet, because she hasn't done that much yet. She hasn't become, like, this isn't the time to kill your third party member, No,
definitely
that would be after you formed a strong attachment to them, really spent more than just, like, 4 episodes with them.
Yeah,
and
there's been no major quests or anything.
Right, so, and then the anime, it felt like it wasn't even trying to sell it. It felt like they presented it so flatly, and it wasn't even just Firo getting eaten that was the problem. It was when Raftalia reacts, and she's just like, Firo, no! Utterly no-sold on the vocal delivery from whoever the hell her voice actress is.
Yeah. Who I generally
feel... Maybe did not feel any sense of, like, danger.
Maybe I'm criticizing...
I don't know if that was on purpose.
Well, that's exactly what I was just going to say. I was just going to say, I don't know if I'm criticizing this wrong or double-thinking my own thoughts, but it was like... And again, I literally knew she was going to survive because I've read the manga, so all that's fair that was in my brain. But, like, there was so little concern for me of the character, and I did not feel it was conveyed very well. But, like, I kind of feel like that was intentional. Like, the show... shows like this seem like you're not supposed to think about it that much moment to moment, and that you're just supposed to kind of let it ride, and then, oh no, she's dead. Oh, she's actually fine, and it's like a joke that she's fine.
That doesn't work in a show like this because there's so much to keep track of. Like, it wants you to be thinking because it's always setting things up to pay off later. Like there's always all this micro managing of, like, gaining all these skills and shit, and then later having it all, like, come back to the fold.
It's a series where no one has died yet that I can think of. Yeah. And so, it's going to... When it comes to the death issue, a show has to decide, is this a show where people die or a show where people don't die? And, I mean, I feel pretty secure in basically every character, because we haven't seen any death, I don't think.
It was particularly... Because I know the other hint... Because I was expecting that it was going to be the second wave was starting soon, and Filo was going to die in that, just based on the confluence of spoilers that I'd been hearing. Because I'd also I predicted, rather, that the second wave was going to be a lot more brutal than anybody expected. That's my prediction. And just as I'm thinking that, in episode 10, they introduce, like, 5 Randys to Shield Bro's team. And I'm like... Oh, gee, well, none of these guys are going to live. Like, they don't even have colored hair. They're fucking gone. Like, it's going to be all these Randys getting killed. Yeah, that's all the second wave is going to be, is all these Randys getting killed and being like, oh, shit, we should have prepared better, but, like, none of the main people are going to die.
Well, I like the idea behind those characters of... Well, okay, definitely, I mean, it sure doesn't seem to me like the kind of show where people would die. So I'm trying not to, say anything definitive. Though at this point, we're getting into territory that I don't remember that well, now that we're past, like, the start of the series. So that's good. But, like, I like the idea of Naofumi, like, getting a squad of kind of... like lower level soldiers as opposed to his lieutenants right under him. So I don't know. That's pretty cool. Something I appreciate, but that's not to your point at all. But anyway, I mean, I guess just to get back to the contents of the episode. So in episode 1, this whole thing, this arc that we've been going through of, like, all those other guys, the other heroes have been fucking up, and Naofumi's coming through to clean. So that dragon sword man slayed. Here comes Naofumi. It turned out the corpse rotted. It was spreading poison. And not only that, when they go to help clean it up and cure the villagers, it in fact is alive as a dragon zombie, and they got to fight it. Ah, that was cool. Did you see that coming, or do you think it was just going to be disease or something like that?
I mean, I didn't. this midsection of episodes, they've all kind of been the same thing. Yep. It's like somebody fucks something up, they come in, they fix it, it's whatever. It's a one-off adventure. If Firo had died here, it would have felt like this was something kind of important. Yeah. And the fact that he gets the curse shield, but that's that's an important thing that happens as a result of this, but like this particular scenario, not interesting.
Oh yeah, and the fact that like he awakens this power through the deeply emotional moment of, oh no, Firo was actually fine. I mean, I get that it's emotional to think that your friend is dead, but I don't know, it's kind of a weird. And the fact they play it off as such a joke later, and Raphtalia doesn't even seem like that hurt. She's only a little bit hurt. And it doesn't even
come up in the next episode. So it's like, you have this moment, if it had been portrayed in such a way where it'd been really dramatic. Like, let's say Raphtalia's been around for a little longer. I care about her a little more. The moment is played more dramatically. The characters react more dramatically. He unlocks the curse shield. And then we find out Firo's okay. I would have felt like I had been more manipulated by the show in a good way. I would have felt like, because at the very least, that scene would be memorable. The scene of him getting the curse shield as a result of this death that we too felt, but we didn't. Yeah. I didn't feel it. It just kind of happens, and I was like, oh, she's gone already? That's it? That's all that we get out of this character? Well, she didn't really leave much of an impact, you know? Oh, I guess he's getting the curse shield. Oh, no, she's still alive. Well, okay. None of this fucking mattered. Like,
yeah.
None of this had a consequence. He just gained the curse shield. That's the only thing that really happened here, and like it looked really terrible.
Like again, if this was
the music is still great.
The music, the music is good. If this was a video game I was playing, this would feel like a pretty satisfying, like, you know, we're getting into like upper beginning of the game mid-level stuff where like a character gets sick, we have to do a fetch quest to go like get holy water.
The show feels too much like a video game.
I agree.
It's weird because there's a part where they're like in the sewers in one of the other episodes, like just fighting monsters in the sewers. I'm like, this is literally a grinding side quest. Like, this is collect 5 fucking heads of sewer monsters, like, I mean, in between
the point of being there was simply to test new weapons they had bought, which, to be fair, is exactly what I do in a video game when I get new weapons. So, I mean, it's
just, like, weird watching that much detail of someone's adventure. And, like, it's a strange feeling because I think of, what this show kind of reminds me of is stuff like Ragnarok, the animation, or like Orphan, Sorcerer Stabber. Like, there's just a lot of, I guess Slayers kind of started this, of like the episodic, semi-comedic, fantasy video game adventure show where you're just basically playing through a video game. Ragnarok came to mind especially because that one's based on an MMO, so like, you know, it's got this kind of same lack of overarching narrative where it just kind of feels like you're just exploring and grinding for the sake of leveling up. You know, there's nothing more to it. And like, we know there's a lot of shit going on in the background, but it's really being kept in the background. Like, we resolved the emotional issues of the first episode by the end of episode 4. Now we have just kind of been fucking around while things are set up in the background for 6 whole episodes. Yeah. That is longer than the amount of time that the original or emotional arc lasted. And that emotional arc bought a lot of sympathy and endearingness to these characters.
Yeah, they're counting on that,
Right, it's similar to, again, I'm comparing it to Sword Art Online, because, like, in that show, you had this very strong emotional moment when Kirito calls himself the Beater in episode 2, and everybody's like, oh, shit, like, he's putting himself at odds with the rest of society. And then in that show, it immediately devolves into episodic adventures, and everybody eventually doesn't give a shit. This show did a much stronger beginning, you know, and it's kept up a stronger thing since, because it's not purely episodic. But it's that same feeling of, like, all of the drama in that first arc bought all this goodwill, but it hasn't upheld that drama. There's been no drama. There's only been fake drama, like Philo apparently getting eaten and then being fine, and like Spear Bro and what's her fucking with them. It just is a team rocket attack at this point, you know?
Correct. That and I don't think it's gonna change. Okay, you know what? The good news is there's another wave coming next episode, episode 11, and I do suspect that there will be okay, like the dragon thing I was really expecting to be impressive and intimidating and better. Okay, that was a disappointment. I think that the wave, this is the true test. If they do something impressive, then I'll be like, okay, I can relax a little bit. I have more faith now that something good is going to happen. But if it does not, then I'm going to be like, what is the fucking point anymore of, I mean, specifically of like reading or watching the anime, because I love the manga and it was fun video game shit and it was light and easy.
I think about other
anime's a chore.
Things that I would want to watch this way. And like, I want to, because I know there's some people in our audience who really don't have a problem with this show.
They got a lot of free time on their hands.
They're gonna be saying that we're complaining too much, and I'm gonna be like, look, you guys can look at Berserk 2016, and I bet you'll say all the same things we're saying about this show. Berserk 2016 is a lot worse. I wouldn't watch it. Not gonna sit through it. But the original Berserk anime was great. And it added a lot to the manga, where even if it wasn't,
I've never seen it, but I believe you.
It's not as good as the manga because it doesn't cover that much. It cuts some things out for time, but like the color design is great, the background art is great, the characters look great. There's a lot of good there's a lot of shit animation, but there's a lot of good animation, and you've got like this incredibly memorable soundtrack that adds to the characters and stuff. It was all around a good show, and even if the manga is better, you would still have a reason to watch the anime.
Yes.
And I think of like Game of Thrones, where getting to see those battles brought to life, even the Berserk movies, which like cut down even more of the story,
those are good.
Are worth watching just for the battle scenes. Because they're probably the best actualization of the Berserk battles ever. And so you can kind of take that, and even when you go read the manga, you can like picture the version from the movie that was the even cooler version of that battle scene. Shield Hero has had moments where the anime was as worth watching as the manga was reading, but it's also had moments where it was definitively a worse experience.
Yes.
And so, like you're saying, it leaves you with the question of, is the existence of this even justified at that point? You know?
Yeah.
Things got a little bit better in episode 9, I think. Melty was introduced.
Yes, Melty's a good character. I like her. New princess, the good sister of what's her name? Mine, Malty.
I kind of wanted to spend more time with her before they took her away, sort of in the next episode.
Yeah.
But like,
that did feel pretty quick.
She's 10 years old, and she's already getting naked and jumping into Philo's feathers.
True.
This is the lolliest show. And, like, at this point, because with Raphtalia, it was like, oh, well, she's a beast person and she grew up super fast, so whatever. She's an adult now, I guess. And Philo is like, well, she's like a day old.
She's like a month she's old. Also like a month.
She's like a queen thing. Yeah. She's magical. She's strong. This girl's just a 10-year-old princess. It's lolly central up in this fucking piece.
These guys...
the only girl who's like full-bodied is the bad guy.
Yeah, that's true. And they did just make Made in Abyss, so I guess they have their proclivities over it. Who the fuck makes this?
I guess so. Kinema
Citrus, yeah, New Boys, that's right. Yeah, I mean, I like Melty a lot. I don't know, we're just going all over the place with this, but we see, like, insinuation that she's trying to get in contact with the Shield Hero, and she's, like, the messenger of the Queen. So we're finally getting some, like, oh, okay. We see that the Queen is, like, specifically trying to contact the Shield Hero. She's on his side. There's something interesting going on there. And in that same episode, I think you saw that when they get to the church, we can see that on the church, the Shield Hero comments like, that's interesting. The church on the top has a sword, spear, and bow, no shield. That's interesting. And I really like the little symbol they have of the 3 weapons.
And yet... Chef Thu seems to be on his side.
What do you mean? What am I missing?
You know the Pope? Do you know that Jeff is now the anime Pope?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Jeff is here in the show, and he's like
based.
Shield. He seems to be on Shield Bro's side to some degree, but they're painting him with a very sinister brush. I gotta say, like. The thing about this show is I am sincerely interested in all these things that it's building up to. I just wish it didn't take so long. It's like
yeah.
we knew about the Queen like 4 episodes ago, that she was going to fall on Shield Bro's side. And we were already back then talking about how the show doesn't feel dark enough because it feels like there's already too many people on his side and he's too far along into being a good guy.
And he's straight up clowning on like all his rivals. So it's not,
and it's just happening again and again. Like it's getting, I can't believe it's getting so light before getting dark again. It's like, I get that we were trying to establish this idea that this guy who started off in a rut is now being respected and working his way up. But we've spent more time watching him do that than we did watch him in the rut in the first place. It just doesn't feel like we're bouncing back from anything anymore.
You know,
like, I like all the things that are happening. Like, I'm interested to know what the political... The most interesting part of this all was when they revealed the names and, like, short pictures of 3 other kingdoms. And I was like, oh, fuck. Take us to the... One of them was called, like, Shieldanaria or something like that.
Right,
it was the land of the Beastmen. I'm like,
exactly.
Well, that's obviously going to be important. Like,
I mean, it was pretty cool. I mean, 'cause, again, I love the video game-y kind of stuff when they're like, oh, you can't use... You're the shield hero. You're not allowed to use the class up mechanic of the Dragon Hourglass here. You can't do it. And then they reveal, oh, but other kingdoms have an hourglass. Like, oh, great. We've got a quest. We've got a goal. We can get upgrades.
Yeah.
Sick. But again... It's better in a video game. It is better in a video game. I still am gonna have fun with it. But like, what we're missing is the drama.
They could have made it better because the thing about Shield Hero is that it's just that it wastes a lot of time. Like, it's not that anything that's happening isn't potentially interesting, but you could have twice as much of it happening. And like with all these learning about new techniques and stuff, if we just had more of a sense of what they could be used for, like let's say that. In between missions, we would see Shield Bro using his incredible variety of shields for like more handy daily purposes, you know?
There's some of that,
he's got like a knife shield and he peels a fucking apple with it or something, you know? Like just like little shit like that happening in the background because that would make it
like no, his whole shield turns into like one of those apple peeler things that you can just like twist it in. Hell yeah. Or it's a fucking blender. It could be all kinds of things.
Well, just stuff like that would endear us more to this idea of their growth where, like, we keep seeing them gain more abilities, but we barely see them using the abilities they've gained.
You know what it is, though? It's like, okay, like, what is the emotional pull of the series? Like, at the beginning, it was obvious. It was like, wronged man wants to get, you know, basically revenge or get his comeuppance on society. And like, okay, but these episodes have absolutely nothing to do with any of that. There's no connection to that narrative drive, like, until he wanders back into town after a couple episodes. Like, sure, the quests he's doing involve cleaning up the messes of his guys, but that's only that's like a meta level. On the nitty gritty moment to moment, I keep thinking that your comparison to Sword Art Online, I think, is super apt. Of like first episodes hook people, and then that buys enough goodwill for people to just be on board. But I'm comparing
that's how most manga even succeed. Like
I agree.
Most manga that goes on forever, like I think of like a Nisekoi or something. It's like the concept is all there is to that show.
This is
it just goes on forever.
This is why I always talk about
characters.
I mean, when we were doing the Weebcast, that like I was saying that watching the first episode of a show is so much more interesting than watching like 10 episodes of just some run of the mill seasonal show. Watching like 10 first episodes, like of the 10 things that are airing that season. Like, because you have to actually put some thought into your first episode. Beyond that, there's no guarantee. And you can get massive diminishing returns, which I don't even blame series for. But I compare a series like Shield Hero to one animated by the exact same fucking company made in Abyss. And, like, the difference as I see it, like, the worst part of Made in Abyss was when they were just kind of putzing around and doing a little bit of training, and there wasn't a lot of narrative and, like, emotional weight when they got to that camp, like the Hunter camp or whatever it was. But, like, steadily through the series, the main drive of the series was adventure, exploration, fear of the unknown, and every fucking time they go to a new place, bam, they hit that same emotional core of the series, and like there's new ideas, there's new places coming at you. Like the best we get with Shield Hero, generally speaking, is like maybe he'll get a new shield. Yay! Yeah. Is he gonna do anything cool with it? No? Like, okay.
At the start of episode 9, I think he does like a quest for a village or something. I was totally tuned out because I was just like, oh, it's another fucking quest for a village. cleaning up another guy's mess or whatever. But then there are moments that are interesting. Probably the best moment in these episodes was when he goes back to the slave trader. Yes. And the slave trader tells him that he is basically a walking advertisement for slaves now. Because, like, people are coming to this guy trying to get Filolial queens and buying a bunch of them, and then, like, knowing that he sold this slave that's performing so well for the Shield Hero in the form of Raftalia. And so, like, that adds just one more layer of, like, dubious morality to what Shield Hero is doing.
See, that's the good stuff. That's us touching back on the main emotional narrative of the series, like the dubious morality of what Naofumi's doing just to get by and survive. That, like, of course there's good stuff like that I definitely enjoy. And, like, the slave trader is kind of the most interesting character anyway.
It's so good of a thing to do because, like, one of the controversial things about this show is that the main character owns slaves. And, like, a lot of people have said that, like, what the hero is doing is indefensible. Yeah. And then other people have tried to defend it. Here, the show itself is giving more ammo to the idea that it isn't defensible.
That's great.
That it's even wronger than you first thought. And that makes you go, oh, shit.
It gets my brain
think about it that way.
Moving a little fucking bit. I feel some sparks hitting the neurons that make me activate my erection. That's good. That is good stuff. And it just the problem is that we just don't have enough of those. Like, the quests are fun, but this is not a video game. And again, like, because I do still love the manga, and basically when I checked, everything that happened here has basically happened in the manga too. And it's just that I have different expectations when I'm reading a manga versus watching an anime. When I'm reading a manga, you know, I can be doing other things kind of at the same time. I don't have to put down everything and, like, lock in the way I do with an anime. And so I just have a higher expectation, and I just don't think the show is doing enough to justify the extra effort I'm putting in. That's how I feel.
Without going too far down the whole manga's better than anime, you already did a video on this rabbit hole, but, like, it's that with a lot of manga, because it's not going to take up that much of your time, it doesn't need to be necessarily as fulfilling on the moment-to-moment level, where, like, you can speed through manga if it's really stupid. I read, like, 60 chapters of To Love Ru in, like, a few hours one night, just because I felt like it, and it was so easy to read.
I just read, like, what is it?
It basically is just, like, blasting through pornographic scenes and having a good time.
I just read, like, 80 chapters of The Promised Neverland over the last, like, day or two, and it was fucking dope. Yeah. It was great.
May just did that, too, after we did a reaction to the first episode, the first 2 episodes. Thought it kind of sucked.
Fuck the anime, dude. The manga's where it's at. The fucking manga is tight as shit, and I'm way into it right now.
That's the funny thing is you say that because her reaction to it was kind of like, it was all right. But, like,
fuck you, May. I'm coming to your house.
But you can get that. You can read 100 chapters of a manga that you think is just all right because it only takes an afternoon.
Like this was 80 chapters of The Promised Neverland. Imagine watching the anime equivalent of that. How long is that going to take you? Like, several weeks, a month, longer?
I wouldn't even care if with a show like Shield Bro. I mean, it really comes down to if we get into good episodes again.
That's all it comes down to. Yes.
Because if the worst thing about this is that we have to watch it week by week, and
if you get
if you get 3 weeks in a row where it's not the best episode, then it's a lot harder than when you watch 3 of those back to back, just marathoning the show, and then you get to a 4th one and it's good, and you go, oh, okay, it's not keeping you on your toes for months, you know.
Okay, but you know. Like,
but there were good enough things in this episode that I didn't feel like dropping it yet.
That's like, what I was going to say, too. I was like, I want to say some of the positive things. I made a little bit of a list of all the fun things that I enjoyed. Okay, 1. I really liked that the Spear Bro has a angel fetish, and he specifically references, hang on, I wrote this down, that he loves the character Freon-chan from Hellworld, which is clearly a reference to Flan from Disgaea, a game that I played and loved.
That is hilarious.
And that was dope, and I was like, hell yes, brother, good job.
How did you even get that connection? But you're probably
I mean,
right.
You know, I've been in I've been in threads, Shield Hero threads, you know, for years now since I read it a while back, and like people have always talked about how her design is very similar to Flan. So
that makes sense.
Is, you know, I don't know what else was there.
I'm also a fan of that character. Well, I'm glad you brought that scene up because I nearly forgot. That was the moment where, in a way, almost a good way, Shield Hero like jumped the shark in that scene.
Yeah.
It got so ridiculous, particularly like it started with him being like having an angel moe and like going on about game characters. But then just like everyone around breaks into a fist fight and there's just all these fucking burly dudes beating the shit out of each other in the streets, and I was like, well, this is fucking hilarious. This is definitely I enjoyed that. That was a good scene. It was totally fucking ridiculous and tonally out of place.
That's the
but
it sure
I liked
was.
it.
Sure was. That's just where we've arrived. There's a weird clash of tones in the show, but it's honestly, I think the soundtrack is what makes it kind of weird, or it's the whole emotional tonality of the show makes the like more light moments feel more awkward.
The music is overexerting itself because it's just a lot more interesting than the visuals. Like when you were watching Made in Abyss and you heard these gorgeous folk
that was totally
tunes
appropriate,
over this,
like every time.
Well, it's like, you know, let's say that your music has more notes. You need to have as many things on screen to catch your attention as there are notes in the song.
Okay,
or else it's going to feel like the music is overpowering the visuals, you know?
I got you.
That's what's happening in this show. That's my theory, anyway.
What else did I like? There was something else I wanted to reference. Fuck. It's buried in my notes here somewhere. Oh, you know what it was? It was that I like that we finally get the scene where the Shield Hero gets to confront the bow and the sword guy for like the fuck ups they've done, and he meets them in the bar or whatever, and he's like, "Hey guys, you know you've been fucking up the world, right?" You know what was actually interesting? So we already knew for sure that the sword guy, he killed the dragon. He wasn't thinking about like the cleanup. He was just thinking about like the heroism of it. So when like the people start to get poisoned or whatever, you know, he had already moved on. He wasn't concerned about the well-being. He's treating it like a video game, and he's not thinking about real-world consequences. But the arrow guy, Bowman, his deal was different, and actually I thought was far more interesting. So it seems that he's like joined some kind of resistance, and like the quest effectively that he did was to just like take out like a corrupt ruler of like some nation to the north or whatever.
Yes, to overthrow. I don't think he's done that yet. I think he was about to do it, right?
No, he did because those refugees we meet, they talk about how like, oh yeah, we're here, like we came from the country to the north because our ruler got overthrown, and that ensued like a civil war, and now like there's these crazy taxes and we're deposed and we're refugees in this country now, and that's why. And so like the Shield Hero lectures the bow guy a little bit on like, I don't know, it just reminded me of fucking like Iraq, for example, like American politics of like, if you just take out like Saddam Hussein or like whatever dictator, okay, look, maybe they're a bad person, but like, do you have a plan for once that's done? You need to think this through before you just completely, you know, overturn a fucking ruler and destabilize the entire political structure, because you could just fucking ruin an entire, you know, country's world or whatever. And I was like, that's... But you know, if like Bowman, they didn't get into this too much, but I was gonna say like if Bowman had countered with, but that man was evil and I needed to take him out, it was like my duty, then I'm like, ooh, that's actually an interesting conflict. Do we allow evil to survive for the greater good, or do you have to like take a stand and take it out? But they didn't get into that. I think it's just framed that Bow Boy is wrong, Shield Man is right. Leave dictators in power if they're useful for keeping people alive. I don't know.
I mean, I was catching more that the point of this conversation was that Bowman doesn't believe what Shield Bro is saying. Sword Guy does. And it's interesting because Sword Guy seems like he could be kind of like the most legit hero.
Yeah.
If he's willing to listen. I mean, he could eventually be more so than Shield Bro, because if he takes everything Shield Hero tells him to heart and just has the virtue of Shield Bro, but without being quite as much of a douchebag. And he's got a non-gay
weapon. He's got an actual good weapon, a sword.
There's potential that he could, if him and Shield Bro like end up on the same page, he's the unstoppable allies, the fucking strongest one, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know who the fuck would be able to talk to him after that point. So I don't know where we're heading. Like, I don't know what alliances we're heading into. I don't know what to expect from how things are going to go going forward. Like, I don't know if this is going to be more PvE after the second wave. Like, maybe everybody has a wake-up call because they get really fucked up and they team up a little stronger. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, go on. I was just
no, I just don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same, but I do feel like, okay, we can't just go back to this after the second wave. It can't just be more like basic level questing. And you know what? The good news is I don't think they're going to do that. I think that like Author Man will detect that like, okay, we need a narrative change after wave 2. Something, we've got to step up the stakes. We've got to get like a real quest going on.
I mean, you've read past this, right? Surely you know at least somewhat.
But my mind gets fuzzy. To be fair, I think I remember generally what's going to happen, but I don't remember the specifics of it. So I don't know. I just... Because the anime, it has some differences from the manga and all that, but I need the show to put on the big boy pants, and I hope, first of all, something crazy happens in the raid. I remember some details, not all, so I hope, you know, that is good and impressive. And then we need some new stuff. We need new things to happen.
I need more Melty. I need whatever's going on with the Queen to just come to the forefront.
Yep.
I don't need it to be teased about it forever. You know, no more adventuring for a little while. Just like buckle down, have some big event, further the characters, make me feel like Raftalia and Philo have any more growing to do as characters, and that they're not just going to be the way they are forever.
I feel like Raftalia is just set in stone at this point. She's like the lovey girl. Oh, you know what? That was another moment I really liked. There was that one really cute moment that was interrupted, as they all are, by Phiro, but it was just like Raftalia was like, understandably, the S.H.I.E.L.D. guy is like, hey, listen, you're going to class up. Don't think about what's best for me. Think about what's best for you, Raftalia, because one day the waves will be gone and I will leave, and you will need to survive on your own. So think about that. First of all, that made me really sad that that's going to happen, because Raftalia is so infatuated, and like, he is her everything in this world. So first of all, that hit me. And then in their scene, like when they're back in the bedroom or whatever, you've got Raftalia just says to him, Naofumi, like, please take me with you. And I was just like, God damn it, Raftalia! That fucking hurts my heart. She's going to be so devastated one day if he leaves. I get that if I was writing this, I would prepare her character to like emotionally grow so that she will be fine, you know, when he leaves. But it's going to be sad no matter what. You know, why they got to be separated and all that. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe like it'll happen, maybe it won't.
Nate, I hope that they write it as well as you have just proposed.
I hope so. I don't know, because the series probably isn't even fucking there yet, even in the light novel, because that's endgame shit, unless it ended and I'm unaware. Anyway, that's pretty much all I got. I could go into more detail, but I mean, I think that's the gist.
Yeah, I mean, I want more Melty and like just mixing it up a little bit. Like, I don't need to see any more of Shield Bro and what's her fuck getting blown BTFO. It's happened enough.
We're all done with that.
I don't need to see another like picking up from another guy's mistake. Don't care. Move the story forward.
You know,
it's been 6
I
episodes.
did like, since you definitely seem to like Melty, I did like that, you know, whatever. I'm going to call them Jesse and James at this point. But Jesse just comes out and is like, meh, we're declaring... First of all, she wanted a duel between Spear and S.H.I.E.L.D. guy again. Did she think this would go better? Then again, I guess she did literally cheat to win last time, so she could probably do that again. I mean, they are not smart people. They are not doing very well at this whole cheating thing. But then fucking, you know, Melty comes out and is like, nah, bitch, I am she's politically higher ranked, specifically because mine, like, is a bitch. And that's, like, effectively the argument they say. It's like her temperament is bad, so, like, even though she's older, I'm the next in line for the throne. That's a serious slap in the face for a fucking character. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
I mean, how much of a fucking sociopath maniac is Malty? Like, is she like, the king is clearly on her side, but like, are they both just crazy? Like, why does the queen have them around? How did she fuck this up?
The queen definitely doesn't seem down with like the shit that's going on here. She heard about like the maltreatment of you know, what's his face, Shield Hero and all that. So she seems benevolent.
Like, when you hit me with all these mysteries and stuff, like, I don't know if this is going to turn out to be retarded or not. That's why I want to know as fast as possible. Like, I don't want to wait around and then learn the truth and then be like, oh, well, now that I think about it, that's kind of retarded. Like, I want to know up front, does this shit make sense? Is there a good reason for why the king and queen are so different, but they're both in power?
Good point. When it comes to any mystery in a story, when you're reading it, I definitely feel this. You have to consume the content in a state of quantum probability, where you are simultaneously feeling the emotions if it turned out shitty one day, or if the narrative turned out good and logical. Because
that's exactly how I feel.
Yeah, because if there's one thing I fucking hate, it's that a series is like leading me to believe something, or that it leading me to believe that there will be good writing, and then it turns out to be shit. And all the emotions that I legitimately had based on my expectations have been betrayed, and I want to take those back. But see, you can't. And that's why
that's why I tend to be way more cutthroat than most people. Like, if you remember Erased, like when Erased wrapped up, there was a ton of people who were like, well, that turned out to be fucking dog shit. And I was like, I thought that would be evident right from the start, because it's not that the show necessarily was dog shit from the start. It was that it wasn't that impressive, and that it wasn't, nothing it was telling me said that it was necessarily going to be amazing later, you know?
Digi, I think
with this show, I felt I feel this show has a better start than that one. This show has even if the anime didn't feel as great as other incarnations of the story, like it put a lot more faith in me that the writer was going to come up with something interesting, because there's so many world building details, there's so much setup in so many unique ways, such a deep understanding of like gaming, how like the systems work and stuff like that.
Possibly too much, but yeah.
Possibly too much. And like, I like the relationships between the characters. I like the I like the ideas behind everything going on. It's just taking too fucking long. And the longer it takes, the more it makes me wonder if you're stalling because you haven't thought of what the next part is yet, you know?
That's a fair point.
I don't know if you already have something in mind and you're just taking your sweet time getting there, or if you're stalling because you haven't come up with it yet. And then when we get there, you know, I have no way of predicting if it's going to be good or bad, so I just have to experience both emotions at once. I simultaneously am watching the show going like, hey, if all of this stuff pays off, I'm interested. But at the same time, if it doesn't, then I will feel as though everything since episode 4 was dog shit, you know, is how I will feel if it doesn't pay off.
You know, call me crazy, but I really think it should be an unwritten rule of writers. No one can enforce this, but writers should do this. That, like, before you publish a long-running story, you should know the ending, and you should be guiding towards it subtly in a like, everyone knows how their series is going to start. I mean, that's how you started, obviously. You have to have a direction in mind. You should know what you're going to do eventually, and that's what Oda had since the beginning of One Piece. At least that's what he says. We have to take him at his word, but I'm trusting him here. And if you, like, I know that in a lot of series straight up don't do that. But how am I supposed? I'm the least trusting person in the world when it comes to like spending my time on a series or you know, whatever, giving money to people I don't know or things like that. And I just need them to earn my trust. So I straight up don't know if the series is going to like be rewarding in the end or if it's not. But don't test me. Don't test me, Shield Hero. Prove to me that you're good and do impressive things, and I'll be a happy camper.
Yeah,
that's all I've got.
I mean, there must be something in there that's keeping. I don't know. Maybe it's just the level of investment from having read some of this, like, you know, over 5 years ago. Yeah. But just like, there's something keeping me there that I'm like, I don't want to drop it. Like, I still like it. I still want to know what's going on. But like, I am braced for disappointment. But we'll see what happens, man. Maybe I'll end up enjoying it unexpectedly, but it's definitely has not been as good as the anime version of that time I got reincarnated as a slime.
Well, that right there is unfortunate. Yeah,
all right, everybody. We'll see you either next week or however the fuck long it takes.
Yeah, sounds good. Bye, guys!
Bye!